If I were to sit here and talk to Mary Christine and Janelle, yeah, we could have the flowery conversation about how awesome their family is and how wonderful it is that they had this family and how they, gosh guard, wouldn't change it for anything because it's so amazing. And I get that. But the raw truth is, you guys were getting used. You got played. The truth of it is, you got played. He was a different person at the time. Yeah, it's easy to be different when you don't have the facility to be the person that you want to be. Why I'm not a fan of, like, just the sheer dishonesty of it. Because again, you're only talking about things you're comfortable talking about. And because you're only talking about the things you're comfortable talking about, this gives rise to where Mary, even like Mary as an example, how she's tied back to Cody for so long. Because nobody would come out and say what needs to be said. Nobody is being honest to her. Like, yeah, Jen is saying stuff now, but this is like season 20 after Cody basically kicked her out of the freaking family. So now for Jen to come back and be like, yeah, you know, you're not welcome in the family. Yeah, thanks for letting me know after he already kicked me out 20 seasons later. And by what I mean, just being honest, you know, we're gonna be honest. What it comes down to is Cody didn't want you. Cody didn't want Christine. He didn't want Janelle. He didn't want y'all. Oh, but we were married for 30 years. It doesn't matter because he didn't want you. He hasn't wanted you for quite some time. He was okay using you. He was okay with you being around, but he didn't want you. You weren't the source of his desire. He was allowing you to stay around. But James, if he didn't want us, why was he so upset? Why was he crying and stuff? He wasn't crying because he had this deep loss of the person that he had committed to. When he talked about you leaving and he was upset about you leaving, he wasn't upset because you left. He was upset that he could no longer get from you the things he wanted from you. There is a difference. There is a difference. He wasn't mad or crying because somebody who is genuinely upset, like I had this great opportunity with this young lady and she was amazing and she was wonderful and I messed it up because I did whatever the hell I did. Blah, 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 blah. I did those things. The first thing that would happen is I recognize what I did wrong. The second thing that would happen is I recognize what I did wrong. And then I say, I wish I didn't do that. And given the opportunity, I would no longer do that thing because my relationship with that person is that important that I would change whatever it is I did wrong. When was the last time we ever heard Cody say anything close to that with regard to any of the three wives that he had? When was the last time he came out and said, you know what? If I was able to get Christine, Mary, and Janelle back, if I was able to get my family back, I would be different. What he wants is he wants the wives and the kids to behave in a way that he finds acceptable. He misses being able to run all over you. He misses being able to threaten you with his absence in order to augment or change your behavior. He misses the very threat that you won't have his favor as a means for you to do whatever he wants you to do, for you to be subservient, for you to sit there and drop everything that you have going on, your kids have going on to serve his needs. That's what he misses. He doesn't miss you. He misses using you. And that's the message that I think was missing because they avoided the truth, because they didn't talk about real things, because they didn't hang out with a real one. Because when you hang out with a real one, your perspective in your life changes. And I don't just mean like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, partner, life partner. I'm talking about even in your friends, your family, your circle, the people that you deal with. If they real ones and they keep it all the way a buck, they keep it all the way honest, your life will improve drastically. Why? Because they don't have the victim mentality. How many times have we sat around and noticed that Cody and Robyn have this victim mentality? right? Everything is wrong. Everybody's picking on me. Woe is me. I can't possibly win. Everybody's out to get me. The world hates love. And when you see that, what happens is when you have that victim mentality, it poisons your brain because you no longer see opportunity. What you see is obstacles. When he looked at his family after dealing with Robyn for years and bathing in the lake, not Lake Minnetonka, but the lake and sea of victimhood, when he looked at his family, he didn't see an opportunity for love, companionship, for familial ties. What he saw was a bunch of obstacles. He saw a bunch of people in his way. When you hang out with a gossip, somebody who wants to sit around and talk about other people behind their back. Secret to the sauce, folks. If they will talk about others to you, they're talking about you to others. Let's be very clear about that. If she's sitting around behind, like if you sit there talking to Robyn and she's sitting there, I was in the room with Mary Christina Janelle, and those heifers had a whole bunch of stuff to say about you. And I was so surprised and shocked. My question isn't, okay, wow, they're talking about me. Tell me more about what they said. My first question is, well, when they were saying all this, what did you say? What did you say? When they was talking mad shit about me, okay, I get it. Oh, they was getting dirty. What did you say? And another question I have, if you're so loyal to me and you're on my side, why do these people feel comfortable talking shit about me to you? If you're on my side, you on my team, everybody know you about this, James, like, why they feel comfortable talking to you? Why was that even on the menu? Riddle me this, Batman. Why was that a thing? Right? So you have the point where they're doing the whole victim side of everything. You have the point where they're sitting around and they're acting as though they're gossips. You also have the point where they're dream killers, right? They remind you of why your goals won't work, why your shit is always gonna fail. You ever had somebody like that? You go to them with a plan. Remember when Janelle came to the family and said, hey, how about we open a gym? Or Mary showed up and said, hey, how about this other investment Lizzie's in? That's something we could do. And everybody sat around and talked about why that shit ain't gonna work. Nobody offered any solutions or how it could work, or maybe suggestions on what could make it better, how to tweak it. In this case, the only people who were given opportunities to do things were Cody and Robyn. And that's what we saw on the show. Then you have, of course, you have the and they're the most toxic types of people. The behaviors that they displayed on the show are the most toxic types of people. You have the parasite. Their relationships with so many of the other wives was parasitic in nature. And again, I don't miss you. This is what Cody would say to the OG3. I don't miss you. I miss your money. I miss your contribution to the family fund. Who's the family fund? I'm the family fund. Okay. My bills get paid. Robyn gets to go on vacation. We get to have nice stuff at the house. I get to improve my home, my big little McMansion. It was $1.6 million. I was able to sell that, turn that around, and get myself into the shit show chateau, the Cinder Palace. They were able to do those things. Why? Because their relationships were parasitic in nature. They didn't want you around because they wanted to improve your life. They didn't want to make your life better. It was a one-way street. It was all about you taking care and supporting them, you supporting their dreams, their ambitions, you making them comfortable. If you're in a situation where you're with somebody and all they want to do is be made comfortable in that situation, they don't give a shit how you feel about stuff, whether you're comfortable or not, then you are in a parasitic relationship, and that won't work. It's not feasible, because while they eat away at you, while they're eating your core, your essence, your life force, they aren't replenishing anything. It's not a symbiotic relationship where you depend on each other. They're consuming you. And the crazy thing is, once they finish consuming you, guess what happens? Boom, they gone. Once you no longer have anything for them that they need, they gone. Okay. Another part toxic personality that I noticed with Cody, and you even saw it in last week's episode when the daughter uh Brianna Aurora brought I forget these kids' names. Aurora, I think it was, brought her boyfriend, Blake or whatever, to the house, and Cody's sitting there competing with this boy. How you gonna be a grown ass man with a full-on wife that you've been with for 15 years, and you're so insecure in your relationship that you have to show everybody in the room how much you in love with your wife? Everything is a competition. Everything is competitive. The craziest part in dealing with somebody who is a competitor instead of a companion is that when you deal with somebody who is a competitor instead of a companion, they can never celebrate your wins. They can never truly celebrate or appreciate when you have good news or when you do something positive or when something great happens for you. Because every time they turn around and try to celebrate your wins, you know what they actually do? Wind up doing? They wind up talking about how your wins are actually their wins. Or how, yeah, you might have won this little bit of thing, but I won the world champions. Even in your celebration of victory, they have to find a way to steer it towards celebrating their personal victory. It's never about you, it's always about them. We attribute this a lot of times to narcissistic tendencies or behaviors or whatever on Cody's part, but it's the sheer fact of the matter is that he's a competitor. He's childish, it's immature. It's like he can't help himself. If you do something great, I either have to be a part of what you're doing or I know somebody who did exactly what you're doing. I got a friend or a buddy who doing the thing. I can't say good job and leave it there. It has to be good job. And this is how I helped you do it. This is how I helped you, and this is my contribution. And aren't I great because you did this? When she went to get baptized, it wasn't a celebration about her getting baptized. It was a celebration about him being there to baptize her. It was about how awesome and godlike he is. Not about a celebration about her relationship with her deity or her congratulations for you finding religion and peace for yourself. It's about me bringing you to peace. And that's what that whole dinner turned into. And we've been watching 20 seasons of that. So that's crazy to me. And again, in that situation, part of what upsets them is that when your success and your good news and your positive things that start to happen, and this is where I see a lot with Cody, when those things start to happen, he feels threatened. He feels threatened when you start winning. So imagine being married to somebody who is sitting there being threatened by your victories, right? And when that happens, you run into like the fake supporter and the fake ass anchor person who's trying to always, or the sabotage person, the person who goes behind you like, yeah, fake, yeah, I'm on your side, you amazing. And the whole time they're trying to sabotage your efforts, your successes from within. And that's what I'm watching with Cody. And that's what I've been seeing the whole time. The what I used to refer to back in the day as a time thief. They're time thieves. They're constantly pulling you into pointless drama. Everything is about them. And after you have a 4 or 5 hour conversation about all the bullshit that they started, that they don't want to take accountability or responsibility for starting, then all of a sudden you spend 4 or 5 hours talking about their stuff. And every time you get with them, you talk about their shit. You're so focused on their stuff that you can't even focus on your stuff. You can't focus on your hopes, your dreams, and the things that'll make you better because you're too busy tied up in their bullshit. And that's part of what being in a relationship, that's what I see a lot of with regard to them being in a relationship with each other and how they deal with one another. You know, it's just a bunch of like craziness. And of course, you got Robyn, the eternal enabler. Everything Cody does, she turns around and tell him that he's gosh gosh awesome. He's amazing. He's so smart. He's so brilliant. He has a reason for why he does everything. If he does the wrong thing, he did that because it's somebody else's fault that he did it. Nothing is ever his fault. Nothing's ever his damn fault. And again, this is because in his circle, he doesn't have, this goes back to what I was saying before, he doesn't have a real one. He doesn't have somebody who's going to hold his feet to the fire, somebody who's going to hold him accountable. And the problem with that is, and then I'm going to jump off my high horse and I'll let you guys call in. The problem with that is there's a saying, right? Especially in some churches. Iron sharpens iron, right? You can, if you want to make a sword, you want to make a tool of some sort, you have to use something hard in order to make something hard. It's not easy to make these things. You see it, like if you look at old blacksmiths, what do? They put that ore, they put that metal into a fire. They heat it up red hot. Then they get some hard, heavy, and metal, and they bang it out. Bingo, bingo, bingo. And they keep shaping and keep working. In order for you to improve, you have to be around people who drive you to do better. You have to endure the heat in order for you to experience any type of transformation, any substantive transformation, any permanent transformation. You have to endure that heat. And you have to butt up against something that's hard and tough, and something that's just as hard and tough as you are. Because at the end of the day, when we out here dealing with life, life isn't easy. Life isn't easy. Life is hard. So in order for you to prepare for this hard thing, you have to endure hard things. And sometimes the hardest thing that you can possibly endure is the truth. Hearing the truth. When if I were to sit here and talk to Mary Christine and Janelle, yeah, we could have the the very flowery conversation about how awesome their family is and how wonderful it is that they had this family, and how they, gosh guard, wouldn't change it for anything because it's so amazing. And I get that. But the raw truth is, you guys were getting used. You got played. The truth of it is, you got played. He was a different person at the time. Yeah, it's easy to be different when you don't have the facility to be the person that you want to be. Because at the end of the day, people are surprised by how Cody turned out. I'm not surprised how Cody turned out, because in my estimation, that's probably who he always was. The person that we see on TV now, the person that we know as Kody Brown, a TV personality, is most likely the person he's always been. The only difference is he didn't have the freedom or finances to be that person way back in the day. Back in the day, if he would have walked out on his family or left Christine, Mary, and Janelle for a young, hot, sexy, tight little thing, and drove 5 hours to go see her and spent 3 days consecutive over at that house, and he came back and he didn't have a TV show, he wasn't making six figures, that shit never would have been tolerated. It wouldn't have been tolerated. His behavior never would have been acceptable. But see, now he has, so he had no, to back it up, he had no reason to pursue that. He had no reason to go after that, to be that person, because it just wouldn't have been tolerated. It wouldn't have been acceptable. So you cultivate and shape your behavior to the things that give you success, give you those opportunities, allow you to exist in your social strata. And then the second he felt like he no longer needed those things, guess who he became? The person that we see now. That's not probably the hardest part for the OG3 to recognize. Cody isn't, oh, I remember when, years ago he was a different person. No, he's been who he has been the whole time. You just didn't see it because he couldn't afford to show you that person. Now he has a little bit of money in the bank. He feels like he can afford to show you who he is. And I know somebody in the chat has probably already wrote the old Maya Angelou statement, which we hear all the time. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them the first damn time. He's showing you who he is. When somebody shows you who they are, stop calling them a liar. Stop telling them that you know them better than they know themselves. Believe their ass. He's not making a mistake. He's not, oh, I think I'm doing the wrong thing. I'm going to tell you ladies, I don't want y'all around. I only want to be with Robyn because Robyn's amazing. He wasn't, in his mind, he wasn't making a mistake. His only mistake was spending time with you, as far as he's concerned. And this is where the whole thing with Mary's worthy up comes into place and all that. We'll get into that, I guess, when the callers hit. But that's where I'm gonna leave it for right now. That's my take. I'm James. This has been my take on reality, and I'm out.